At 69 years old, when most people are settling into retirement, Cardinal Robert Prevost stepped forward to accept one of the most demanding roles on earth, becoming Pope Leo XIV, spiritual leader to 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide. When the white smoke rose above the Vatican, the announcement of his election came as a surprise to many. The College of Cardinals chose a seasoned leader, prioritizing wisdom forged through decades of experience. Society often whispers that aging means stepping aside, making room for younger voices. But what if that's fundamentally wrong? What if the world needs the wisdom of age now more than ever? The election of Pope Leo XIV sends a powerful message about the value of elder wisdom in our youth-obsessed culture. It forces us to reconsider what it means to age and what possibilities might still lie ahead in our 60s, 70s, and beyond. Today, we'll explore what this remarkable moment means for all of us, regardless of faith or background. Because the lessons of Leo XIV's ascension apply to every person who's ever worried they're too old to matter. Let's be honest about the stereotypes surrounding aging. Past your prime, set in your ways, out of touch, irrelevant. These silent judgments shape how we view ourselves as we age. They whisper that our productive years are behind us, that at a certain point, we should politely fade into the background. Yet reality tells a different story. Research from the Stanford Center on Longevity shows that older adults often make better decisions, maintain clearer emotional stability, and demonstrate superior problem-solving in complex social situations. Consider the evidence around us. Joe Biden became U.S. president at 78. Warren Buffett still guides Berkshire Hathaway at 94. The late Queen Elizabeth II fulfilled her duties until her passing at 96. Jane Goodall continues her conservation work well into her 80s. And now, Robert Prevost has become Pope Leo XIV at 69, when many assume leadership capabilities are diminishing. What these individuals understand is something our youth-fixated culture often misses. Chronological age is just a number. Capacity, wisdom, and purpose transcend birthdays. The election of Leo XIV challenges our cultural myths about aging. It reminds us that elderhood isn't a period of inevitable decline, but potentially one of profound contribution. Research shows that older adults bring unique perspectives shaped by decades of lived experience, which are invaluable in navigating complex challenges. This depth of perspective is precisely what qualified Robert Prevost to lead one of the world's oldest institutions at a critical moment in history. To appreciate the significance of Leo XIV's ascension, we need to understand the journey that preceded it. Robert Prevost, born in Chicago and a dedicated missionary in Peru for many years, followed a path of steady service, not a meteoric rise. His early life reflected values of faith and community. After joining the Augustinian order in his youth, Robert Prevost spent decades serving impoverished communities in Peru, working closely with those often overlooked by society. His approach was marked by humility and a deep commitment to understanding the lives of others. This wasn't the path of someone chasing recognition, but of a man embedding himself in human experience, absorbing its lessons slowly, deeply. When appointed to leadership roles within the Church, he continued to prioritize simplicity and service, living modestly and staying connected to the people he served. Robert Prevost continued to live with humility, staying closely connected to the realities of ordinary people. As he rose within the Church, his colleagues noted his grounded nature and dedication to service. What's remarkable about Prevost's journey is not its dramatic arc, but its steady accumulation of understanding. Year after year, crisis after crisis, joy after joy, he absorbed the full spectrum of human experience without rushing to judgment or seeking recognition. His was not the dazzling sprint of youth, but the measured marathon of a life deliberately lived. And it was precisely this depth, this unhurried wisdom, that the College of Cardinals recognized when they elected him Pope at 69. There's a fundamental difference between the knowledge of youth and the wisdom of age. Knowledge can be acquired quickly, through education, through information. We can download facts, memorize statistics, learn procedures. This is the domain where youth often excels, absorbing new information with remarkable speed. Wisdom, however, requires something different, something that cannot be rushed. It demands lived experience. It requires watching ideas succeed and fail across different contexts. It necessitates seeing consequences unfold not just immediately, but over decades. This is the wisdom that Pope Leo XIV embodies. In his first address, Pope Leo XIV spoke with a reflective calm, emphasizing patience and understanding over hasty action. His words reflect the measured perspective of someone who has watched many solutions and problems come and go, who understands the cyclical nature of human challenges. Neuroscience supports this approach. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that older brains actually process emotional situations differently than younger ones. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, shows less reactivity to negative stimuli, while connections to the prefrontal cortex strengthen, enhancing emotional regulation. In simpler terms, as we age, our brains become better equipped for nuanced judgment. We're less easily swayed by immediate emotional reactions and better able to place events within broader context. In a world of breakneck change and instant reactions, this slow wisdom becomes increasingly valuable. When everything around us accelerates, those with the capacity to pause, to consider, to contextualize, they become not less relevant, but more essential than ever. Leo XIV's elevation at 69 recognizes this truth. Some qualities cannot be hurried. They can only be cultivated through the patient accumulation of years. Imagine the scene inside the Sistine Chapel, where cardinals gathered beneath Michelangelo's masterpiece, tasked with selecting the next leader of the Catholic Church. The stakes couldn't be higher. A church facing declining membership in Western countries, ongoing abuse scandals requiring healing and reform, environmental crises demanding moral leadership, geopolitical tensions needing diplomatic navigation. Early ballots showed several prominent leaders, but Robert Prevost emerged as an unexpected choice, reflecting the Cardinals' recognition of his seasoned wisdom. Through their deliberations, the Cardinals recognized Robert Prevost's depth of experience and steady wisdom. When white smoke finally rose above the Vatican, announcing that a decision had been reached, the name announced was Cardinal Robert Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV. The selection sent a clear message. In this critical moment, what the Church needed wasn't necessarily youth or dynamism, but the steady hand of earned wisdom. Beyond the context of the Catholic Church, this decision reflects a broader truth. There are situations where the depth of experience matters more than the length of future service, where perspective outweighs energy, where the ability to navigate complexity trumps the capacity to work longer hours. The Cardinals' choice reminds us that sometimes the person best equipped for a challenge isn't the one with the most years ahead, but the one with the richest years behind. That life's most important contributions might come not in our striving years, but in our reflective ones. At 69, Leo XIV wasn't chosen despite his age, but because of the wisdom those years had cultivated. In his first public appearance as Pope, Leo XIV demonstrated his commitment to humility and connection. Rather than remaining distant, he engaged with the faithful in a way that reflected his lifelong dedication to service. His presence conveyed a quiet strength, not of grand proclamations, but of genuine care and attentiveness to the hopes and struggles of those he serves. Now let's turn the question to you. How often have you felt the weight of unspoken judgment about your age? How many times have you hesitated to begin something new, thinking, "I'm too old for this"? Perhaps you've considered learning a new skill, but stopped yourself with thoughts like, "At my age, what's the point?" Maybe you've had ideas for contributing to your community, but wondered, who would listen to someone my age? You're not alone. A study from the University of Michigan found that 80% of Americans over 60 report experiencing ageism in their daily lives. The subtle and not so subtle suggestions that their time for meaningful contribution has passed. Yet all around us, people are proving this narrative wrong. Ernestine Shepherd began bodybuilding at 71. She's now 87 and still training daily. Gladys Baril completed the Honolulu Marathon at 92. Giuseppe Paterno earned his bachelor's degree at 96, saying, "Knowledge is like a suitcase you carry with you. It's always useful." Diana Nyad swam from Cuba to Florida at age 64, accomplishing on her 5th attempt what she couldn't in her prime athletic years. These aren't exceptional superhumans. They're ordinary people who refuse to accept that age should limit their horizons. Pope Leo XIV's elevation at 69 isn't just a story about one man or one institution. It's an invitation to reconsider our own assumptions about age and possibility. To ask ourselves, what might still be possible in this chapter of life? What wisdom have I cultivated that the world around me needs? Our society faces unprecedented challenges: climate change, political polarization, technological disruption, social isolation. These aren't simple problems with easy solutions. They're complex dilemmas requiring nuanced understanding. Yet paradoxically, as our challenges grow more complex, our public discourse seems to grow more simplistic. Hot takes replace reflection. Instant reactions substitute for measured responses. We increasingly lack the patience that wisdom requires. This is precisely where the wisdom of elders becomes essential. Research from the University of California found that older adults are significantly better at navigating conflicts with multiple perspectives. They're more likely to recognize that competing viewpoints can each contain partial truths, more capable of finding common ground amid disagreement. In traditional societies, elders served as cultural anchors, providing perspective that stretched beyond immediate concerns, reminding communities of enduring values when short-term thinking threatened to prevail. We've largely abandoned this model, often to our detriment. As gerontologist Mark Agranin has observed, society too often overlooks the experience of its elders when that experience is most needed. Pope Leo XIV's leadership emphasizes active engagement with today's challenges, applying the lessons of a lifetime to navigate complex issues, not merely reflecting on the past, but shaping the present with wisdom. Pope Leo XIV's elevation at 69 arrives at a time when the world craves steady guidance. From climate summits to peace negotiations, his voice carries the weight of decades spent listening to humanity's struggles. His work in Peru, serving marginalized communities, informs his call for unity and compassion in addressing global crises. Whether advocating for environmental stewardship or fostering dialogue across divided nations. Leo XIV's leadership shows how elder wisdom can bridge gaps that younger, more reactive approaches often widen. His example challenges world leaders to pause, reflect, and act with the long view, reminding us that solutions born of patience and experience can reshape our planet's future for the better. The wisdom of elders isn't confined to global stages or grand achievements. It lives in the quiet moments, over coffee with a grandparent, in stories shared by a neighbor, or through advice from a mentor who's walked a longer road. These everyday interactions hold lessons no textbook can teach: how to forgive after betrayal, how to find joy amid loss, how to stand firm when the world feels unsteady. Who in your life carries this kind of wisdom? What might you learn by asking one more question, listening one moment longer? Pope Leo XIV's story reminds us to seek out these voices, to cherish the elders around us, and to let their insights guide our own paths forward. The story of Pope Leo XIV invites us to reimagine aging, not as a retreat from the world, but as a bold step into purpose. At 69, he didn't shrink from leadership. He embraced it, armed with the wisdom of his years. What if we saw our later years this way, as a season of strength, where our experiences become tools to build a better future? Aging isn't about fading, it's about shining with the clarity only time can grant. Let Leo XIV's example inspire you to redefine what's possible, to share your hard-earned wisdom, and to shape the world in ways only you can. Think back across the tapestry of your own life, the eager uncertainties of youth, the striving of middle age, the accumulated joys and sorrows, victories and defeats that have shaped your understanding. None of these experiences were wasted. Each contributed to the person you are today, someone with perspective that no younger person, however brilliant, can possibly possess. Pope Leo XIV spent decades in quiet service before the world's spotlight found him at 69. The value he offers now comes precisely from those years of patient listening, learning, and growing. Your journey's unique path, with all its unexpected turns and lessons, has cultivated wisdom that our hurried world desperately needs. The question isn't whether you have valuable wisdom to offer. The question is, who needs exactly the insight that only your life experience could provide? There's a remarkable paradox at the heart of Pope Leo XIV's story, and perhaps in yours as well. Our culture celebrates rapid ascent, early achievement. We praise the 30 under 30 lists, the prodigies, the overnight successes. Yet some of the most profound contributions come not from racing to the top, but from the slow cultivation of wisdom, from the kind of depth that can only be developed through years of living, observing, reflecting. This insight invites us to reconsider our understanding of life's timeline. Perhaps the most important work of your life still lies ahead, not because you need to start something grandly ambitious, but because the world needs exactly the kind of grounded wisdom that only someone with your life experience can provide. If today's message resonated with you, please consider sharing it with someone in your life who might be limiting their horizons because of age. Perhaps a parent, a grandparent, or even yourself. I'd love to know your thoughts. Who is an elder in your life whose wisdom you deeply respect? What have they taught you that you couldn't have learned from someone younger? Share your story in the comments below. And if you found value in today's reflection, please subscribe to The Wise Years for weekly insights on aging with purpose, dignity, and joy.